Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. It is Christmas Eve 2025. Hope you are all having a tremendous holiday season. Enjoy your Christmas Eve today. Enjoy your Christmas tomorrow. Make sure you are subscribed to Mets Daily below. You can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We are available on audio platforms. We prefer you come to YouTube, but if you are an audio person, go over there as well. We appreciate your support on all channels. At Mets Daily Show on X, at Jake Brown Live is where you find me on all social media, including my YouTube. Go subscribe there. Smash that thumbs up on this video. Keep sharing the channel as we've passed the 3,000 marks. Thanks for everyone for all the congratulations. And let's get to it. Somebody commented yesterday, you take too long to get to the stories. Well, let's get to the stories here within the first minute of the show. And we'll start off with Austin Hayes. And you know, the Mets reportedly interested in outfielder Austin Hayes. I mean, listen, this would be underwhelming. I don't think there's any way around it. You could look at whatever metrics you want to look at with Austin Hayes. I don't think he's a bad player. You see his, some of his stats there on the screen, 266, 15 homers, 64 RBIs. Decent in the clutch. He hit over 300 runners in scoring position, which I like. I think that's a metric the Mets are really looking at with how bad their situational hitting was with runners in scoring position and in the clutch and in the late innings. That's a stat the Mets are looking at. But when you look at Austin Hayes, just overall numbers, the guy was a .8 WAR player in 2025, negative .1 in 04, 2.5 in 2023. This is a guy that'll hit you 15, maybe 20 homers, 25 on a great year, and have an on base of 313. I mean, he doesn't get on base at even a third of the rate clip. Now, where I'm okay if the Mets signed Austin Hayes as they look to balance out their lineup and add right-hand hitters, as we talked about yesterday, and we'll talk about another one in a second. They're looking to get righties in this lineup. Where I'm okay with Austin Hayes, if he's the guy before you go to bench. Like if you're saying, okay, we're going to sign Austin Hayes and play left field, which he's played most of his career, and we're going to trade for Luis Robert, and Austin Hayes is going to play until Carson Bench is ready, and then Austin Hayes is going to be your fourth outfielder, sign me up. I'm in. But I think Austin Hayes, at this point in his career, he's looking for a starting job, and I think he'll get a starting job. There's other teams have expressed interest. I think the Yankees reportedly have expressed some interest. The Royals interested. So, Austin Hayes is probably going to be a starter somewhere. If it's for the Mets, I'm not in love with it, but I can understand it if it means you're adding another outfielder. Christian Walker is a guy who is also a right-hand hitter when it comes to first base, who, was on my list last year, and a lot of people, when Alonso was doing well and Walker wasn't doing great, everyone said to me, look, your guy Christian Walker has been terrible. Well, Christian Walker ended up having a decent season, as you see his numbers on the screen. And if you want to look at home runs, RBIs, which everyone wants to look at when it comes to Pete Alonso and a lot of players, Christian Walker's a pretty good player, and Christian Walker's a good defensive player. In 2024, the guy made 2 errors. He made 6 last year to Alonso's 10. He's a 2 outs above average player defensively. His numbers are also a little bit skewed. He got off to a dreadful start last year. He really picked it up in the second half of the season. So I know his numbers last season don't jump out on you on paper. And I know the naysayers will say, you talk about age with Pete Alonso, why would you go out and get a 34-year-old, soon-to-be 35-year-old player in March on opening day? Christian Walker will be 35. But, the reality is Christian Walker, like I talked about last year with him, it was pretty much a late bloomer. Christian Walker's best years have been his last 4 years. In his 30s, he has really, developed that power, and, he just started playing in his 30s. The guy started playing full-time a couple of years ago. 36 homers in 2022, 33 2023, 26 in 2024, and 27 in 2025. So, I don't think he's a bad option. Where I do think the Mets aren't going to love Christian Walker is the contract. He has 2 years, $40 million, which, I don't know if they want to pay $20 million a year when they're already have in mind that, Jorge Polanco might be their guy at first base right now. So if the Astros were to eat some of that money, I'm intrigued. I don't think it would cost the world to go out and get him from the Astros. Like, I actually think the Astros would like to get rid of Christian Walker at this point. I would think if they can get young pitching, if I'm the Mets, I'm not giving up Brandon Sproat for Christian Walker. But if you said to me, Mark Vientos and Jack Wenninger for Christian Walker, and the Astros would eat, I don't know, $10 million, I don't see how you say no to that if you're the Mets. If you're paying him $15 million a year for 2 years, he's your bridge first baseman to Ryan Clifford. I'm not against it, but he's one of those names who's under the radar, who I feel like we haven't mentioned, who no one's really talked about, but I do think the Astros would have interest in trading him, and he is a right-hand bat. So Yandy Diaz is my preference, but if you want to talk about run prevention, it probably makes more sense to get Christian Walker. He's just a better defender than a lot of the guys out there. So if it's not going to be Okamoto, who's probably going to get more than the 2 years, 34 that Murakami got, you start to think about trade market outside of Yandy Diaz, who might be out there, and Christian Walker might be that guy. It is a lot of money, but it is a 2-year commitment. He is older, but again, it's 2 years, 35, 36. He's going to hit you 25 to 30 dingers and play good defense. So I'm intrigued. If Christian Walker, I liked him last year, didn't have a great year, but I am intrigued. Not really intrigued by the Mets minor league signings. They've signed right-hand pitcher Tyler Birch to a 2-year minor league deal. Birch has never made the big leagues, but he has a career ERA in the minor leagues of 3.71. He's been around for like a decade. This is a guy that's 28 years old. So we'll see what he turns into. The Mets have also signed hard-throwing 30-year-old right-hand pitcher Alfredi Gomez. Now, I wanted to mention both these guys because it is news. Alfredi Gomez, because Alfredi Gomez agent texted me yesterday because he reps some clients, minor league guys, and he texted me letting me know this. So I figured I would mention it. Shout out to his agency, Empower Sports Management. But this is a 30-year-old that's pitched really all around the minor leagues and in winter ball and the Mexican leagues. And, he's pitched well in winter ball in the Dominican League and has started, to develop some eyes. This is a guy that throws cheese. He throws upper 90s. He has a 2.77 ERA in 15 2/3 innings. 15.2 Ks per 9 in this year's Dominican Winter League, and why teams like the Mets have had interest. And he hits 99 miles an hour, which definitely develops some interest. He struggled in 77 innings in AAA, 8.18 ERA. The numbers stink in AAA, but I think they like the upside of he is developed in terms of a 30-year-old. He can throw cheese, and his agent texted me, one of my arm signed minor league deal with the Mets, sky's the limit. Now, obviously, agents are always going to hype up guys, so we are fully aware of that. But he said I said single A ? He said upper levels might be in the bigs if he does what he's doing in Lidom right now. So obviously, Lidom in the Dominican Winter League is a lot different. But listen, Ronnie Mauricio is tearing it up down there. We know what Ronnie Mauricio can do in the big league. So maybe Alfredi Gomez works out as a flyer. It doesn't hurt to give him a flyer. I know people respond to moves like Tyler Birch and Alfredi Gomez and say stingy, Stearns, cheap, this and that, but it doesn't hurt to add minor league depth. You never know when injuries come upon you. You might need an arm. And, I think it's a good opportunity for these guys, a chance to still live out their dream. So we'll see. Two guys with a lot of minor league experience. Could both of them end up working out? They're two flyers. You rarely see, though, a 2-year minor league deal. That was fascinating to see. But Birch, Gomez, signed by the Mets, and we'll see what they add. Make sure you keep on commenting below as we close out today's Christmas Eve program with your comments from Shakamoto, Mets Daily Insider member. By the way, Mets Daily Insider, I have been told we are going, if you're subscribed and a member, we appreciate it. Keep on joining. Because we're not doing the extra perks right now, we have about 10 members. We're not going to continue Mets Daily Insider memberships just because I guess it's not fair. You can hit me up if you want ways to support me on the side, but otherwise, for now, because we're not adding those extra videos, and I just don't have the time to do that right now, we are not going to be continuing promoting becoming a member. But if you are a member, we do appreciate it. It is much appreciated. And Shakamoto has been a member for a while. Hank Azaria, that's so cool. Ask him what comedians out there are Mets fans we don't know about. Excited for the episode. Yeah, Hank's a great interview, great guy. He'll be on the program in January. Love Hank. Love running into him at Citi Field, which I have multiple times. And I will ask him. Ace Blue says, happy birthday, Mama Brown. Thank you, Ace Blue. Appreciate it. Hector Rivera Photography 100. Alberto Martinez says, happy holidays, Mets fans. Let's keep dreaming. Happy holidays. Type 2 Collectibles says, yes, they demolished the core. The pieces are not out there to be competitive next year. Probably a lockout in 2027 or at least a shortened season, and they will be irrelevant for 3+ years. So when Lindor is much older and when Soto might be at his wit's end, Is what it is, but letting the chip fall away will be a mistake in my opinion. What is the chip, though? The team finished with 83 wins, and they're demolishing a team that finished with 83 wins. I'm sick and tired of hearing, but those guys weren't the problem. Pete Alonso just said the Mets missed out in the playoffs because pitching, injuries, and one game. That shows you how much of a dummy he is and how dumb the 2025 Mets were when it came to the egomaniacs in that clubhouse and the clubhouse dysfunction that people continue to not blame because of the pitching, because of the pitching, because of the pitching. We know the pitching stunk. Stop. We all watched the freaking games. We're not idiots. But that wasn't the only thing wrong with them. Pete Alonso at stretches when the Mets sucked was hitting below 200. Do we want to talk about those stretches? It's not about one game. We want to talk about the one game that ended the season, the last game of the season. That Mets offense, that wasn't the problem, scored 0 runs. So this team had issues beyond just pitching. And also, they have the money where they're not going to be irrelevant for 3+ years. If there's a lockout in 2027, so be it. Nothing the Mets could do about that. But to think that a $320 million team is going to be irrelevant in 2026 is ridiculous. And if you think the offseason's over, it's ridiculous. And if you think the young talent the Mets have is not going to contribute, that's ridiculous. So I don't think you're looking at a rebuilding team. You're looking at a retooling team. Obviously, it's going to be an unrecognizable roster to a lot of Met fans who have loved those pieces that left. I get that. But it doesn't mean it's not going to be a roster that can win, because I believe it will be when it's all said and done. Right now, sure, it doesn't look like one. But guess what? It's Christmas Eve, and the season starts on March 27th. Sunlight Glider says the only thing about McNeil is his flexibility, but I do agree with you. Yeah, I mean, listen, I get that about Jeff McNeil. He was willing to play a lot of different positions, but how well did he play those positions? You know, someone commented on a video yesterday, I got to see if I find it, that he was a Gold Glover. If Jeff McNeil was a Gold Glover, I'm Miles Davis. Let's get serious. Come on. He was an okay defender. He was not a Gold Glover. I mean, what kind of crack are you smoking to tell me that Jeff McNeil was a Gold Glover? Let's get real. There's the comment from Stove Marina. Pretty good show. You take too long to get the stories. We got the stories quick today. We finished the stories within 8 to 9 minutes, and now we're getting your comments. So thank you for the feedback, Stove Marino, and I think we established your feedback well today. Salute says, I'm excited. Let Stearns cook. KRS says, Pete's shtick was getting old, blaming one game for not making the postseason. We all witnessed the 2025 season with our own eyes. The entire second half of the season was the reason the Mets didn't make the playoffs. Don't gaslight us. Just take your 5-year contract, your bad 5-year contract, and move on. Yeah, I mean, that's a lack of self-awareness. That's what it is. And listen, the quotes come out now that he has the contract, and it's not PR Talk 101 and Boris Talk 101. It's let me keep it real, is that I'm an egomaniac. I did nothing wrong, and it was on everyone else. And that was the exact issue with the 2025 Mets that I told you all a year about, that everyone called me the dummy. Now everyone looks like the dummy, and I look like the smarty pants here. But I was the one to tell you that was the reality of the situation. They had a bunch of egomaniacs in that clubhouse. They had no togetherness. And listen, Soto and Lindor, also big egos, but also guys that put up 30 seasons. You know, Soto a almost 40 season. So, you know, as much as people want to say Lindor is the problem, they put up monster numbers every year, and they were part of the problem. You know, Lindor said, he didn't take blame off himself. He blamed everyone, and that's what you should say. You don't say it's the pitching and the injuries. Lazy Linu says, you were the only person / podcaster making any sense. Thank you, Lazy Linu. We are not lazy here. A lot of lazy takes out there, but no laziness here, so I appreciate that. From Valdox, he says, hi, Jake. I completely agree with you, 100%. That's why I'm your fan. Do you think if the Mets get Marte, they put him on left field? Appreciate that, Valdox. Yeah, I mean, listen, Ketel Marte's played a little left field. You know, Jeff McNeil played left field, and I hate to keep ripping on Jeff McNeil, but the reality is Jeff McNeil's not the greatest athlete ever. There have been so many, Mike Baxter was a left fielder. If you remember Mike Baxter, the guy who made the catch in the Johan Santana no-hitter. Left field doesn't have to be the greatest athlete in the world. Brandon Nimmo was not a great left fielder, but he did it fine enough that he made it work. Daniel Murphy played left field. Now, that was a disaster. Not everyone is meant for left field. Daniel Murphy was not meant for left field. But, Lucas Duda has played a little left field. Like, I do think Ketel Marte is athletic enough that if you put him in left field, it's not the end of the world. I think that defense up the middle is more important, having Marcus Semien at second base. So I get the people saying there's no spot for Ketel Marte. Run prevention doesn't make sense with Ketel Marte. Ketel Marte's bat makes a lot of sense for the New York Mets as a switch hitter. And for the short term, for 2 to 3 years, if he's got to play out of position and then go back to second base when Marcus Semien is not here anymore, so be it. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to think about Ketel Marte and what he adds to this lineup and go after and get him. All right, last comment. I enjoyed this one from Noel Franco. Mets should play him a tribute video of all his crash outs when he comes back on Jeff McNeil. That's very funny because that would be an hour-long tribute video. And, Jeff McNeil, said he had some quotes about the clubhouse situation. He liked everyone in this clubhouse, a lot of BS, but was asked about that situation with Francisco Lindor. And he said, and this is a part of why you trade Jeff McNeil. Where was he? He was on the freaking golf course when he got the call. He got the text from David Stearns. Can you give me a call? What a shock. The guy's thoracic outlet, elbow problem, still golfing. Well, go golf over there. This is a guy that was more concerned with golfing than he was playing baseball. He said, I don't want to go into detail. It was nothing out of the ordinary, and I loved everyone in the clubhouse. Jeff McNeil on his reported altercation with Francisco Lindor. Well, listen, not everyone loved him. And that's part of the reason he's gone. And part of the reason he was gone, he just was a regressing player. Thank you, Jeff McNeil, for the memories. Thank you for 2022, but so be it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Subscribe. Smash that thumbs up. Follow me at Jake Brown Live. We will be off tomorrow. If there's any Mets breaking news today, we will do a show tomorrow. But otherwise, enjoy your Christmas. Merry Christmas. A reminder that Jingle All the Way is right up there at the top as the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Let us know in the comments your favorite Christmas movie. I don't want to have the Die Hard is a Christmas movie discussion, but let us know your favorite Christmas movie below. And we will catch you on, I was going to say Black Friday, but it is, what do they call the day after? It's not Black Friday. It's Boxing Day. So shout out to all our people from other countries that are watching Mets Daily. And we continue to encourage you to watch. And Merry Christmas, and we are thankful for your support. We will get you gifts soon from the New York Mets. Players are coming. And I forgot to mention, by the way, one more thing, because I completely forgot to mention it. Ryan O'Hearn signed a 2-year, $29 million deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates' first multi-year deal since 2016. I mean, it's been a decade. I mean, it's the biggest multi-year deal they've signed. I mean, it's unbelievable that this is the first free agent they've signed in a decade. Pirates, good for them spending. I know everyone's commending them, but what are we commending? Doing the bare minimum? All the Pittsburgh Pirates are doing what every team should be doing, and that's the bare minimum that they haven't done. So good for them, I guess. It's better for baseball, but I need to see more of it. Signing Ryan O'Hearn to a 2-year deal, I'm not going to stand on the chair and I'll give him a golf clap for finally giving a multi-year deal out, but can we not commend the Pittsburgh Pirates for doing something out of the ordinary? Out of the ordinary for them, but it should be a regular thing. So Pirates need to be spending more. I think O'Hearn, once the Mets, reports have said the Mets want a righty more. That was out the window. I thought it'd be 2 for 22. He got 2 for 29. Nice deal for him at that number. I didn't figure the Mets would be interested. But Pirates have a nice little offseason. They got a nice little lineup. They got Paul Skeens. They probably need more pitching. I don't want to hear the Pirates in a playoff discussion, but I think they're going to be competitive. I think they're not going to be a pushover in 2026. So good for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Merry Christmas, everybody. Now I'm done. Thank you for watching.